Fifth number example we discuss here. State with reasons whether the following statements are true or false. First, second example we discuss here. Every rhombus is a rectangle. First quadrilateral is, yes, first quadrilateral is rhombus. Correct. Second quadrilateral, rectangle. What is the property? When we say that statement is true or false, all properties of second quadrilateral present in first quadrilateral, then we can say that it is a true statement. All properties of second quadrilateral is rectangle. Tell first property of rectangle. Yes, loudly. Yes, good. The opposite sides of rectangle are congruent. And here rhombus means all sides congruent. That is extra property we get in rhombus. Means first property satisfied. Second property of rectangle.
The diagonals of rectangle are bisect each other.
Diagonals of rectangle bisect each other. And here what is the property?
The diagonals of rhombus bisect perpendicular. Diagonals of rhombus perpendicular bisect.
Diagonals of rhombus are perpendicular bisectors to each other. Means we get here extra property, perpendicular. Bisectors always present. Perpendicular is the extra term. Means second property also satisfied. Third property of rectangle.
All the angles of a rectangle are of 90 degrees.
No, that is not property. That is definition. Definition term. We want property. What is the property?
The diagonals of a rectangle are congruent.
Good. Diagonals of rectangle are congruent. And for rhombus, it is possible.
No.
This is rectangle. These diagonals are congruent. Is these two diagonals are congruent? The first is small and second is large. Means diagonals are not congruent here. But here diagonals are congruent. Third property we can't get in rhombus. Therefore, that statement is this statement is asking question is true or false. This statement is true. This statement is false because third property we can't get in first. Yes, in solution, diagonals of rectangle are congruent, but but diagonals of rhombus are also congruent, are not congruent, and therefore this statement is only called, this statement is false. Answer is important. Third example. Every rectangle is a parallelogram. All properties of parallelogram satisfy rectangle. We check here. First property of parallelogram.
Opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent.
Good. Opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent, and here
The opposite sides of rectangle
opposite sides of rectangle
are
also congruent. Means property satisfy. First. Second property.
parallelogram sides of
Wrong.
diagonals are bisected.
One remaining.
Parallelogram by diagonals.
Next. Wrong. Next. One remaining property. Next. Yes, opposite angles of parallelogram are congruent. And here all angles are congruent because 90 degrees. Means we get extra property. That property also satisfy in
तुम्ही उलटे करा काय
first quadrilateral.
एक तर उलट लावा
Yes. Next, third property of parallelogram. Yes. Diagonals bisect each other. Good. नो. चाललंय काय सांगतोय काय? Yes, diagonals of rectangle bisect each other. Here also properties satisfy. Next property of parallelogram. Is any property remaining for side, for angle and for diagonal? There are three properties only, and all three properties satisfy here. Means what we write conclusion? Yes, good. This statement is true because all properties of parallelogram are present in rectangle all properties of parallelogram present in rectangle. Therefore, this statement is true. Good. Fourth, every square is a rhombus. Property of rhombus present in square we check here. First property of rhombus. All sides are congruent. That is not property. Definition. Definition is not important. Properties. First property of rhombus is good. Opposite angles are congruent, and in square all angles are 90 degree, means extra property we get here. Here also opposite angles are congruent. All angles are congruent. First satisfy. Second property. Yes, diagonals of rhombus are perpendicular bisectors to each other, and for square, sit down. Next.
Diagonals of square bisect perpendicular bisect to each other.
Yes, diagonals of square also perpendicular bisectors to each other, means second property also satisfy. Third property is diagonals of rhombus bisect the opposite angles. Good. Next.
The diagonals of a square are congruent.
No. Next. 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 Huh?
The diagonal of a square bisect the opposite angle.
Yes. Diagonal of square also bisect the opposite angles. Means next property also satisfies square. Then next property of rhombus.
Opposite angles of the rhombus are congruent.
That we check. That is first. First, second, third completed. Again first, second, third, not essential. Is any property remaining? All properties are completed and all properties satisfied by square. Means what we write conclusion.
This statement is true because all properties of a rhombus are present in square.
Yes, good, good. This statement is true because all properties of rhombus are present in a square. This is the method of solution. Is any difficulty? Write down.